Please, God, don't listen to the true Geordie. Please don't listen. Hey guys, sorry to the true Geordie if you're actually watching this video, though I don't suppose you probably are. I obviously hope Sunderland do make it 6 in a row this weekend. Do I see it happening? Well, I'm always pessimistic when it comes to derbies. I think there's going to be a lot of key areas in which this game is going to be won. I think midfield, I think, is going to be crucial for this. I think particularly for Newcastle, when you've got Wijnaldum, come on, you can't ignore this. He scored 4 goals last week. I am petrified. Sunderland have better have done their homework this week on Wijnaldum. Double up on him, triple up on him. You know, Catalan and Villa for us, I think, is going to be a huge impact in this game because they're really supposed to be, you know, the brick in midfield, if you like, the solidness in there. Villa, though, like Mitrovic, has had a reputation of having a bit of a hot head on him. So I think that if we're going to do any well in this game, we have got to stop Newcastle playing. I think this being Big Sam's first game as well, first home game at the Stadium of Light, is going to be a big factor as well, given what's happened with Big Sam and Newcastle in recent memory. He's going to want to go out there and fucking beat them, you know, as all Sunderland fans are. Advantage for us should be that it's at the Stadium of Light, though. And I'm watching the True Geordies preview that Newcastle, on paper, have got the better players than Sunderland. But by equal measure, Sunderland have had the mentality in the last 5 derbies. Touch wood that happens again and may continue to happen. But Sunderland have had the mentality in the last few derbies, which is the main reason why we've won them. And I think only until the last 5 derbies, the Sunderland players were fazed by the occasion and didn't understand properly what it meant. We've had luck in some of the derbies we've played. I think if you look at the derby we had under Paolo Di Canio, I think when we beat them 3-0 at St James's Park, one of the only good moments in an otherwise pathetic season, if you ask me, under Martin O'Neill. Massively underachieved that year. But anyway, we got a big decision in that game, which I think had gone against us, I don't think we would have won. And I'm talking about Papi Cissé's offside goal, which wasn't offside, actually, because he was clearly in level with Carlos Cuellar when the ball was played to him. So, you know, I was honest enough to admit that after the game, that if that had actually happened, I don't think Sunderland would have won. I think another reason why we won that game was because Newcastle had to play Benfica twice and then Fulham within the space of 10 days beforehand. One thing that has indeed helped us, though, we've had match winners across the course of the derbies. Barini in particular and Johnson have proved to be big figures in the last few Tyne-Wear derbies. Obviously, Barini's probably there's a chance he's going to play, but he might have had a knock. We don't know that yet. I guess that's going to go right down to the wire on Sunday. Adam Johnson, I'm not going to go into that. We all know what's happening there. You know, but I mean, even when we beat them 2-1, when Barini scored that screamer late on at the Stadium of Light, and when we beat them last year at St James's when Johnson scored the 90th minute winner, both those games I'm not entirely convinced Sunderland deserved to win on the balance of play, how the game went. But Newcastle have more quality offensively now than what they did in previous derbies. The only thing I'm worried, but that defensively they're still shite. They're not any good at the back, and they should be there for the take in their defence. And we've got players who can hurt them. You know, Fletcher's done all right in these games. The problem is, I just wish he did that more often. But again, like with West Brom, Fletcher was anonymous, which is pretty much how he's been all the time now. He was great against West Ham. It was one of the best performances I've seen from him in a long time. But it's not saying that much because he rarely performs like that. Barini, you know, he's not the most prolific of goal scorers, but I think we knew that when we signed him. You know, his work rate and his ability. He's clearly got ability. It's there. He can go past people. His work rate running backwards and forwards is all over the place is great. And of course, we know who we're going to give the penalty to if the referee isn't deluded and actually gives us one on Sunday. For me, though, crucially, both teams are still shite in defence, though. But Sunderland, I think, will improve defensively under Sam Allardyce. Whether enough for this game, I don't know. If Wijnaldum plays the way he did against Norwich, there's only going to be one winner in this game, and that is going to be Newcastle. I don't know what to think for this game. I really don't, because, you know, it's pointless trying to predict it, but because form goes completely out the window. On the one hand, Newcastle do need a result. They need to get a win or at least a draw in order to stop this rot that they've been on, where it's been 5 derby losses in a row against Sunderland. We know eventually that's going to come to an end at some point. I'm just hoping and praying it's not Sunday, but that is going to come to an end at some point. If Newcastle did go on to win this game, which I'm praying that they don't, please don't. Howe, come on, please don't. You don't need the win. You've got a first league win. We haven't. We need it more than you do. No, seriously though, if Newcastle were to go on and win this game, I think that would turn their season around. It would leave Sunderland in a massive trouble, because then the confidence would really be shot. It would be deflated. We've been in situations like these before where we are looking very dead and buried, and then we beat Newcastle and then somehow go on to survive. But we can't keep relying on that, because A, it might not happen this time, and B, it's not what the supporters want. We want to have a good start to the season for a change. And of course, if it's a draw, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if we don't win this game. I would just hope we don't lose it at the very least. If it does end a draw, though, that's a much better result for Newcastle than it is for Sunderland, because Newcastle can afford to draw this game, I think, whereas we can't. If we were to draw this game, we need to go and win at least 2 or 3 of the next 4 matches, and given the way Sunderland are at the moment, we probably won't. And obviously, if Sunderland do win, then it might finally kickstart our season. Hey guys, the Sunderland A.F.C players, where were you 2.5 months ago? That's when the season started, guys. But the midfield, I think, is where I really think this game is going to be won and lost. Wijnaldum's got pace, he's got aggression, he's definitely got ability there, and he can head the ball. John O'Shea, for me, in that respect, then has to start this game, because he is good at heading the ball away, and so is Yunus Kabul, actually. If you have both of them heading long balls away from our penalty area and away from Pantilimon, then I think we can cope with them quite well. But I'm interested to see how Steve McLaren handles this, because he sent a letter to the Newcastle fans this week saying about how the previous derby defeats were unbearable, and that apparently he's going to treat this as any other game. If you ask me, I think that's a bit of a scapegoat from Steve McLaren to try and cover his tracks if Newcastle do lose this game. Because, I think he's trying to earn brownie points with Newcastle fans. And to be honest, and this is from a Sunderland fan, by the way, Newcastle, the fans deserve a better manager than Steve McLaren. And I'm not saying to be disrespectful, because I think, Steve McLaren has had hard fixtures, to be fair to him. But, he's not exactly one that would fill you with happiness, is he? I'd figured someone like, Brendan Rodgers now. If Steve McLaren left, Brendan Rodgers could be good for Newcastle. But then again, tactically, I said he wouldn't be good for Sunderland. Anyway, I'm going a bit off topic here, though. But I think the key battle in this game is going to be Wijnaldum and Sissoko versus Catamol and Villa. I don't know why. I've got a feeling that's going to be where this game's going to be won. If Catamol and Villa play like I know they can do, because they can play brilliantly on their day, and I just wish more non-Sunderland fans realise this, but they can actually play really well on their day. If they turn up and snuff out the threat of Wijnaldum, Sissoko, and even Mitrovic and Perez, by the way, is actually quite underrated for me. I really rate him as a forward. If we can snuff them out, then I think we've got a good chance of winning this game. But equally, though, we can't have any more fuck-ups when it comes to chances that we're getting, because we've had a number of chances across the season that we should be taking. Jermaine Defoe recently saying, he's not happy, he's not starting games. The miss against Tottenham and the miss against Bournemouth, mate. If you're getting 60 to 80 grand a week, start putting them away, please. If anyone gets any decent chances in this game, you've got to take them. Please. So the quick message to Sunderland fans, I will say, if you care about our football club, win on Sunday. If you care about our season, win on Sunday. If you care about the supporters and the club generally as a whole, please win on Sunday. Prediction-wise for this game, 1-1. It's usually the score I'd go for. I don't see Sunderland making it 6 in a row. Do I see Newcastle winning? If Wijnaldum and Sissoko, Mitrovic and Perez, if they all play to the level that they can do, then yeah, I think Newcastle would win on Sunday. But, I think it's going to be a draw. I think that a draw would definitely be a better result for Newcastle. I think a lot of Newcastle fans would probably take a draw in the aspect that it's away from home, and then they would focus on trying to beat us when we go to St James's Park in March. But let me know, guys. Comment below, subscribe, and like the usual stuff. Let me know what you think. What are your predictions down below? I'm going to go for 1-1. I'm not going to give a prediction on who's going to score, but I'm nervous for this game. I really am nervous for this game. But Sunderland, please turn up. That's all I'm asking for you. Like I said, I think the midfield battle is going to be crucial in this game, and I think whoever gets the first goal in this game is going to be huge. So I'm praying Sunderland get it. So, how are the Mackems? Let's win on Sunday, please. 6 in a row. Away, lads. Come on. And good luck to Newcastle fans for the rest of the season, not for this game.